happen. Yeah, I've seen that example a few times. Yeah. Welcome everybody. We're gonna go ahead and get started now. First info meeting of 2019, very exciting. I can't believe it's actually already been 3 months. Can you believe that? Feels like we were just here. But we're actually gonna start with a couple guest speakers, and then we're gonna move into the travel office content. To start us off, I know we had Daniel come recently, but there has actually been some changes in his office since the last time he spoke here. And so he's going to be updating you on those things. And so introducing Daniel from Office of Global Affairs. And then you can use the clicker or the arrows. There you go.
Good afternoon. As Kelly mentioned, we've had a few changes in our office that we wanted to just make sure that you are aware of, primarily being the fact that with the change of the calendar year, we also changed our international insurance provider. So previously we were with On-Call International, and as of January 1st, we are now with CISI, so Cultural Insurance Services International. A few noteworthy changes with this. One is just in general, we're very happy to be making this change. CISI has a reputation for being very strong in the academia realm. So they have a lot of academic clients, so they came very highly recommended from a lot of our peer institutions. In general, they have a larger network of providers. And providers are a little bit of a misnomer here, so I'll just explain briefly. With this, it's not necessarily like an in-network, out-of-network like you're used to domestically with health insurance. What this means, though, is that they have a series of providers worldwide who, both hospitals, clinics, and individual doctors, who are, they have agreements, signed agreements or MOUs with where they accept the direct payment directly from the insurance company. So what that means is then we'll actually have less travelers who will be out of pocket up front. So we're really excited about that. The university obviously has a strong connection to making sure that we have access for study abroad and for research abroad. So we want to make sure then that we're creating opportunities for students of lower incomes or students who may not have access to credit cards in general or large credit lines. And so with this then, there'll be more opportunities for students to then go directly to a clinical provider who is part of this network. And so that they will then be able to just reach out to the insurance company. They can then initiate that direct payment relationship and the student should hopefully not have to pay out of pocket. There is a little bit of change with this, with the guarantee of payment. That's noteworthy. With this, there are basically two primary criteria for the guarantee of payment. The one being hospitalization. So if a student traveler is hospitalized, then that is an automatic trigger for then the insurance to reach out and establish that direct payment relationship. The second criteria is if the expenses are anticipated to be more than $100. So that's a little bit hard to tell, but the idea is if it's a routine outpatient doctor's visit, or something minor that doesn't include lots of tests, overnight stay, things like that. But if it is anticipated to be more than $100, they can reach out to the insurance company and they can establish that direct payment as soon as possible. Another thing that we're really excited about is that both on the student side and then we are working to establish a generic login that'll be available on our Global Affairs website, but there will be the opportunity to have an international provider search tool. So this was really a response to a lot of the need that was identified from our travelers. A lot of our travelers were asking for, if they're going to a certain location, they wanted to know who are the providers, what are the recommended hospitals and clinics that I go to. So we now have that available. So it's available on the CISI website, so you can search for any given city in the world, and it'll have an indicator, a special indicator, if the provider already has an MOU in place where they have historically accepted that guarantee of payment. So we're really excited about that change. The other point is expanded mental health resources. So with our previous provider, the best we could really do, unfortunately for our students, was that we could get them to see a mental health professional the next business day. So if there was an issue in an evening, a weekend, holiday, the best approach we could really have was to then connect them that way. So that led to some problems because there's this kind of gap between if it's routine or something that can wait until the next business day versus on the other end of the spectrum, which is threat, immediate threat to safety of yourself or others, In that case, we always want people to go directly to an emergency room. So there's that kind of gap between those two extremes. And so what we can now do with this new insurance company is then, if that situation applies, if you call the insurance company, the traveler can actually get connected via Skype with a worldwide network of master's trained mental health professionals. So we're very excited about that we can actually provide that additional service to our students if they need the assistance and it's one of those situations where it's after hours and no one else is available. And then finally, more accurate tracking of travelers. So overall, we've been able to make a lot of improvements to the data quality with this new insurance company. And so we've changed the travel registry, which I will talk about in the next slide. So overall, we're able to have a better, accurate picture of where our travelers are worldwide, and then that leads to then better accountability. So in a case of the recent terrorist attack in Nairobi, Kenya, I was able to then do a quick query and find out exactly who from the university was traveling in Kenya. And so the systems have really improved with this new insurance provider and that collaboration. So as I mentioned, changes to the International Travel Registry. So this applies for faculty and staff travel, and then also for students if they're going outside of the context of study abroad. So the primary change has been, we previously had an email address of travelregistry@uw.edu. We are no longer using that as our form to register travel. So that's kind of the big noteworthy. The key now is we're having everyone go and fill out a very brief form. So that form is available on our Global Affairs website under Travel Registry. We really have tried to make this as simple as possible just to capture that key information. So travelers will be required to log in with their net ID, so it'll already pre-authenticate and pre-populate who you are and your basic information. And then the only additional information that's required is that travelers provide the dates and locations of where they're going. So anything else is optional. They can still tell us, the hotel information or any other details. So they can either include that into a text box or they can upload that directly into the application. But the bare minimum that we need to have would be who you are, where you're going, and the dates of your travel. One thing to point out with this, if yourselves or anyone else in your office registers travel or arranges travel for travelers in your unit, we have proxy registration available. So you can log in. There's 2 different buttons on our website. The first button is registering travel for yourself, and the other one is registering travel for someone else. In that case, you click that one, it brings you to a different application. So you would log in so it knows who you are, and then you would just do a lookup for the net ID of that traveler. And then same thing, you would provide the traveler details. Another thing to note just with Christofferson Business Travel, so if anyone uses that to book international travel, we've worked with them in the interim at least. They've agreed to include a line in all of the confirmed itineraries to then prompt the traveler to register their travel. So that's kind of a way that if you speak to travelers directly, to remind them directly to register their travel, but otherwise anyone booking through CBT should also get that prompt to register their travel. And then the third thing is, this has been something that we're very proud to roll out. It's a digital emergency contact card. So for anyone who had travelers who had the plastic card from the previous insurance company, that was already something that company was phasing out. And so we're kind of going in the way of digital. And so this is a digital emergency contact card that you can download directly to your phone. What it looks like is it's going to show up as a contact just like anyone else in your phone. So your loved ones, your friends, etc. So the way to do that, and we always encourage people to do this domestically because it's a short code, so it's an American short code. So the phone number is the 444-999. So what that looks like is then you send a text message to this phone number, and then the message should be UW Global. The key with this is just that it's not case sensitive, but it must be one word. Your phone will always autocorrect it as UW space global, so it has to be brought back to be one word. And so once you send that text message to that number, it'll respond back with a prompt to download that card, and then the key is just to make sure you save it to your phone. But that'll have all the emergency contact information for the university. So our global emergency line, which is our 24/7 emergency line that international travelers can reach out to. It also has the non-emergency numbers, so how to get a hold of us for pre-travel consultation. But then also has study abroad, if that is your context, it has that contact information, and also all the contact information for the insurance company. And finally, just here's my contact information. So in general, I'm always available to travelers for pre-travel consultation. So if anyone has any questions or concerns about health, safety, security before international travel, always happy to consult. The students all go through an online pre-departure orientation, but we have, it's kind of a ad hoc, bespoke service for the faculty and staff. So if anyone has any specific concerns, always happy to consult. Does anyone have any questions that I can address? Good. All right. Well, thank you very much. My email address is here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. And again, just as a reminder, the slides as well as the presentation will be sent out via the listserv as we usually do. So don't feel like you need to write down any contact information, anything like that. We will be sending this out, and so you can browse through the slides and go right to it. So I'd like to introduce our next guest, which is going to be Wally Park. And so we have a corporate discount actually with Wally Park. If you don't know Wally Park, they are actually at the SeaTac airport. So if you have any travelers who like to park at the airport for their travel, you'll definitely want to listen to this. Here you go. So just click the right browser.
You got it, Emily? Yeah, go ahead and start. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Annalie, and this is Mary, and we're both with Wally Park in Seattle. Who here has ever parked at Wally Park? All right, excellent. It's not Wally World, it's actually Wally Park. So what we do is airport parking, as you said. So we're here today to share a little bit of information about our corporate parking program that we have with University of Washington. And what that program is it's a 30% discount off of our regular parking rates. That's good for all university staff, students, family, and what have you. And let's see, so our corporate discount rates, they're good for any type of business travel. They're also good for leisure travel. There's no limitations to getting the discount. Let's see. So one of the really important things that we want to talk about today is this is a picture of our premier parking garage at SeaTac, and one of the things that we take very seriously is safety. So when you come and park with us, we have a well-lit facility. We have staff that are on site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We also have security cameras. So our facility is fully secure and closed up. So when you do come and you park with us, then you can be rest assured that when you get home from your travels, your car will still be there. So that's always a nice piece of security. Some of the other features that we have something called the Wally Guard. This is something that not other parking facilities have. It's pretty cool. It's a bumper guard that goes between each car. So when it's parked in our facility, it's not going to get dinged up. Something that is a really nice feature, especially if you have a newer car and you don't want to worry about that. So
that's my favorite slide. Oh, everyone loves the door ding guard.
Yeah, we actually wanted to bring in a Wally guard to show you today, but we weren't able to take one out of the garage. But it really is a pretty cool thing to have. So that's as exciting as airport parking gets. So. So then one of the other awesome benefits of having a corporate discount with us is we have a no reservations required policy. So for the general public who don't have a corporate account with us, there are actually turn them away. But as a UW Parker, if there's ever a time where we have a full sign in our garage, we'll have a sign that says we are full except for we take reservations, and then we also take our corporate accounts. And so you can just simply go up to our booth and let them know that you're with University of Washington, and we always keep spots for you. So the nice thing about this is if you're if you have students traveling or you're traveling or staff traveling, and parking is often the last thing that you think about. And even if you don't make a reservation, you can know that Wally Park will make room for you. So.
And I wanted to interject because this is a great slide. So if you're traveling, this is our valet service. You should treat yourself. It's $1 or more, $1 or so more, but it's so nice. They meet you at your car. They put your luggage on the shuttle. When you come back, your car's there, your keys are there. They put your luggage back in your car and you just take off. So it's nice.
Exciting, yeah, it's lovely. It's white glove, yeah. So some of the other benefits that we have, we offer a complimentary coffee that actually tastes decent. bottled water, pastries. It is actually decent. I was impressed. I do often try it as I'm there at early hours of the day. We also have complimentary newspapers that you can grab as you're traveling out. We do also offer full oil change services. So if you're traveling and when you get back from your trip, you can come to a car that's been serviced.
You don't have to waste your time on the weekend getting your oil changed.
Right.
Have it done while you're gone.
The same goes for car wash and full detailing services. So those are other features that we have. Two ways that you can start parking with us. The simplest thing that you can do is you can simply just drive up and park. And when you come back from your travels and you go to pay, if you simply have a business ID or business card or a badge that associates you with the University of Washington, then you'll simply get your discounted rate on your parking. Or you can book a reservation online, and you can do that either at wallypark.com or through our mobile app. And when you guys all came in, we handed out flyers that have some information as to how to set up a loyalty account. So pretty simple process.
So you could use our new app. It's brand new. We're pretty excited about it. You can see where the shuttles are, and we're going to keep adding features, but you can make a reservation on it. And yeah. So.
Yeah. And the shuttles, it's actually pretty cool. The shuttles are in live time. So at any given time in the day, you can log into the app and see them all driving around the airport, which I think is kind of nice, especially as you're landing and you're wanting to get on your shuttle. Then you have a tangible idea of where the shuttles actually are. So we're getting pretty high tech here. A couple of the advantages of actually taking the time, which only takes a couple minutes to set up a loyalty account, is every time you park with us, you get a point for every $1 that you spend. Over time, you accrue enough for free parking. And the points, there's no blackout periods like during holidays or anything like that. And the points, they never go away. So we have a lot of travelers who they like to accrue their points during their business travels and what have you. And then when it comes time to do vacation, they want some free parking. So that's when they redeem them. So that's an advantage of having a loyalty account. And again, on that flyer that I gave you, there's information as to how to set it up. So it just takes a couple minutes of your time. So
this is astounding.
107% savings. So what we did some data crunching, and we figured out that the average length of stay for our corporate travelers is 3.5 days. And so then what we did is we looked at your 30% discounted rates at our facilities, and a 3.5-day stay is $58 at Wally Park. If you were to go to one of the general floors at SeaTac Airport today and park, your 3.5-day stay would be $120. So just to give you a general sense of the type of savings, if you just simply come and park with us, it's pretty significant. So, I mean, and complimentary pastries, coffee,
newspaper.
Yeah, it's great. So
Wally guards.
What more do you need? Do you want to go over the rates?
Oh,
These are the.
Go ahead.
Okay. So these are our parking rates. I don't know if this is more details than we need at this point, but we have 3 facilities. We have our Premier Garage, which we showed pictures of, and that is our facility that we encourage our corporate travelers to go to. That facility offers 3 different options. You can either drive in and go up to our rooftop and park your car, and that's a self-parking, and then you go and grab the shuttle. Or we have a covered self-parking where it's 3 stories, correct?
Yes.
We have 3 stories of covered self-parking. You can pull in and park and then go grab a shuttle. Or you can go for the full service like Mary was speaking about.
Super sweet valet.
Yeah, and you simply pull into the garage to our valet area. An attendant will come and grab your keys and get you right on the shuttle. And so you can see that those are the 3 different prices that University of Washington discount would get you. And then we also have an outdoor valet lot, which is as simple as it sounds. It's you just pull up and your car is valeted, and it's valeted in an uncovered open lot for the length of your stay. And then when you return, your car is waiting. So pretty simple valet experience. And then we do also have just a self-park lot as well. And there's the price that reflects just the simple uncovered self-park. One thing to note is that all 3 of our facilities, they have full security and they're monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So at any facility that you choose to use, you can know that your car will be there, and when you return, it'll be safe. You're going to be in a safe place that's well lit. So features that are important when traveling, you know, that safety piece is absolutely something that we take very seriously at Wally Park. So then lastly, when everybody walked in, we handed out a 1 free day stay card, and that's good through the end of 2019. So you can use that to take off a day of your travel the next time you're parking, or if you have travelers that you want to hand those cards out to. I also left quite a stack at the table up top, and you feel free to grab as many as you think you would use. Those cards will take 1 day off of parking at our premier garage, which the address is located on the card. And one thing to note, I was so impressed that in the remote session that somebody noticed this. So in the fine print, it says valid at ATL location only. And what that is when these cards went to print, we have other national locations. And that was a card that wasn't taken out for our Atlanta location. And so anyway, it doesn't affect the usage of the card because the card actually has a barcode on the back of it, which makes it usable at our facilities. And the address is properly there. So just don't notice that. But I was impressed whoever noticed that tiny fine print. But we decided to take a pass at reprinting it because it wasn't worth it doesn't affect the card. So for those detail-oriented people, it's still good to go. Come use the card. We'll take it in Seattle. And then this is my
one thing before you do that. One thing
sorry.
I wanted to mention, some of you might have questions about shuttle times. So we want to let you know they leave the garage every 5 to 10 minutes. And it takes about 10 to 12 minutes to get to the airport. But like someone here today said, when you you land and you catch a shuttle and you come back to Wally Park, I mean, it's like 3 minutes. You're right there. So, okay, sorry.
Excellent. That's great. Love it. It's a big piece of the travel is the shuttle.
Yeah.
So that's very, very important. This is my business card. I left some on the back table. Feel free to contact me. My job role is, my market is specifically the Seattle market. I handle all of our corporate accounts. So if you ever have travelers or you personally have an experience that's not good or it's great or you need some free parking or you need some more information, contact me. I let myself be available to my corporate clients 7 days a week. So it's something that I think is important in travel because people don't travel just Monday through Friday. So if you ever need to reach me, that's my information. Love to hear from you. Any type of feedback as well, always really valuable because I do also work very closely with my operations team to make sure that you have a good customer experience with us. So, and then lastly, we didn't do this. We didn't add a slide. Does anybody have any questions for us? Yes. They do, to answer your question, no, they do not. There is a 10% tax.
There's sales tax, and then the port charges a $5 fee, and then there's a $1 living wage.
There's a lot of fees.
So there's a lot of fees, but that's just that's not charged per day. That's charged per stay.
The 1 day pass card, you won't have, so the proportionate 10% won't be reflected. So that won't be paid on your bill on the 1 day pass card. So it will help. No, that's right. But to also further answer your question, the rate that when we looked back here, let's go back really quickly. I love numbers. So we'll just go back. So when we looked back here, these numbers, this is after tax. This is with the tax actually included, not before tax. So that does give you at least a sense of, while yes, I would agree there's high taxes at CTAC, that is your true cost with taxes for 3.5 days with us. So it's about as good of a deal as you're gonna get. You can say that. Any other questions? Yes. Yes, we have. Mary, why don't you speak to that? Since she wants to know all the national locations since you handled the national
yeah,
market.
Great. Yeah, so I'm going to start at the West Coast. We have Seattle, Los Angeles, San Diego, Denver, Milwaukee, Chicago, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Orlando, and Jacksonville.
And to further answer that question, if you were to go and park out of any of those facilities, we would honor the discount for you. So, yeah.
And on our website, it shows all the different markets that we're in.
Come on,
Anybody
any other
else?
questions?
That's okay.
That's good. All right. Thank you very
Thank
much for
you
your
so
time
much
today.
for coming and spending time with us.
Yeah, and feel free to take more parking cards if you guys want. Everybody likes free parking, so right? Who doesn't want something free? Yes. Yeah. So that is a typo, and it does not affect the card. That was because those cards were being used for all of our markets, and that was not seen before it went to print. However, as you'll notice, the address is correct in Seattle. So, and it's actually the barcode on the back of the card, which will make it valuable in Seattle. So there's nothing to be worried about, but I appreciate how detailed. I might actually go get those reprinted. I've never, until this group, had anybody actually notice that. So, I love the detail. Well done. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. One thing I want to point out is the car wash and the oil changes are not reimbursable. So you never know. Yeah, I'm just going to address it now. Killer right here. They can do it. It's on their own dollar. It's not reimbursable. So okay, definitely write that. But thank you guys. All right, so now on to the travel office stuff. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Real ID Act. I know we have mentioned this a couple of times, but it's been a couple of meetings, so I just want to get this back on your radar, just so you're aware of it. So if you don't know, if it's your first time at the meeting or you haven't heard it before, the Real ID Act is a federal law that has already been passed, and essentially Washington State is catching up with this law. It has to do with certain ID requirements for using federal facilities. And where that affects us is going to be using airports in Washington. So you'll encounter this issue at SeaTac. And when this is going to go into effect is going to be October 1st, 2020. So we do have some time, but keep in mind that trying to get identification can sometimes take quite a bit of time. And so although it may be coming up soon, just keep in mind that your travelers have to go through a process to get the proper identification. So they can't just go, the night before and figure that out. They're going to need to make sure they're aware of this in advance. We gave you a link, so you can visit this link later. It's just a website that we like, that we've been referencing that goes over all this information. So if you have any other questions or want to know more details about it, you're welcome to visit that link and get some more info. And again, when I send it out, you'll have access to it. And the big thing to note is that a standard Washington driver's license or identification card will not be accepted. I think one thing that's been asked is, what about new IDs that are printed that are driver's license or ID card? Those will not be compliant as well. So I read some of the notes, and they will actually be printing, even on the new licenses that are issued, they're going to have like a note on the top that says something about it not being federally compliant with the Real ID Act. So if you have travelers that have their IDs that are expiring before, like, oh, well, I'll be getting a new one, won't I be okay? The answer to that is no. So make sure they're aware of that. The driver's license will not work at all. But there are several existing ID options that will work. So if your traveler has a passport, enhanced Washington driver's license will work, U.S. military ID or green card. They had a few more options on there. I just listed a few that I figured a lot of people would have. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to affect everybody. Personally, it'll affect me. I only have a driver's license, so I'm going to need to get it figured out. Question?
Do you happen to know how long an enhanced license, how long that process takes, and what actually think you need to get it?
I personally don't. If anyone has gotten their enhanced license, maybe could share what that process is like. I'd imagine it's similar to getting a driver's license, not too long. Okay, so it sounds like basically the same process, just an additional fee.
Is it an additional fee?
And so yeah, they charge you extra, but you can still get it fairly quickly, and they mail it to you in the mail, just like a driver's license. So.
Documentation required is different.
Oh, the documentation required is different.
Bring your birth certificate, everything.
But yeah, if you go to the DMV website and all that, will have all that information. But yeah, so it sounds like, yeah, a little bit more documentation, but the process is pretty much almost the same. Oh, another question I remember from the remote session. So someone was wondering, will it be, let's say you have a traveler who is not compliant, so they only have the driver's license, and they go to travel, can they be reimbursed for getting a passport because they need to travel? The answer to that is not reimbursable. And the reason for that is there's a little bit too much personal nature to it. So for example, it's something that I'm gonna need to take care of just as a Washingtonian. I need to go and do that, just be able to travel. And so to reimburse that, there'd be a little bit too much personal gain. So if you have anybody ask for reimbursement, it's gonna be not reimbursable for that one. And yeah, to clarify, passport and a visa can be reimbursable if it's required to leave the country. But if they're just getting it for domestic travel, there'd be too much personal involved on that. Ariba e-travel changes. So we do have a big enhancement coming out. It is scheduled for the end of February. So that is when it's currently scheduled. Just note that's subject to change. I think the tentative date right now is the 22nd. But just note that it's probably going to be around the end of February, and that is subject to change. It's still in development and everything like that, and still has to go through testing. So we're not exactly sure what the exact date will be, but just keep it on your radar. Think end of February. And this release is going to have a lot of e-travel specific changes. So I know we've been announcing enhancements in the last few months. A lot of those have been overlapping with procurement and other systems and everything like that. And so if you've been doing travel for a while, you've probably seen that we've done about one big enhancement that's travel related each year. And so it's going to be kind of similar to one of those. Communication regarding the changes and what to do on your end will be communicated over the listserv like usual. So we still plan on doing the change management document where we have all the screenshots and everything like that. So it's not available to us yet right now because it's still in development, but once it gets to testing and everything like that, then we'll have actual access to what it's going to look like, and we can start communicating that to you. So more to come on that. So I already mentioned this, changes are in development. It's going to go through testing and then release. And so if everything goes as planned, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It'll be February 22nd, again, subject to change. But I did grab a few examples just to kind of give you an idea of what is going to change. First one is traveler type relocation. Again, these are not officially 100%. But if you know the change in policy regarding relocation, we used to have travel-related expenses that were associated with relocation that would come through us. That is no longer the case. And so we're going to be updating the system to reflect that. So probably going to be removing the traveler type relocation, and then it's going to have some guidance, essentially what to do if you do run into relocation expenses and where to go. Changes to the policy violations tab. If you've been in the expense report module, there's a tab that says policy violations. One thing we don't like about it is the word violation, because it's technically not a violation. We do get questions about that. The way we view it is more like it's like a justification, actually. So we're trying to kind of rework it, maybe rename it to policy justifications. And so the dev team's looking into it right now. Rename reset per diem button. So we get questions about that. The word reset per diem kind of scares people away. They think that it's going to erase their work that they did in that line item and everything like that. So we're going to rename it to something that makes more sense. Cancellation fee for lodging. So kind of similar to airfare when we have change fees, cancellation fees, and things like that. It also relates to lodging. So we're going to build something similar that you see in the airfare line item into the lodging. We do have travelers who have to cancel their lodging, and sometimes there's the fee associated with it. And so we're going to build that into there. Travel office approval flags. So this won't really affect you guys too much on your end, but we'll be communicating what those changes are. So this will be changes to what expense reports we're reviewing in our office. So we're going to be changing those around a little bit. We'll let you know what we're reviewing now. Increased attachment size. So I haven't heard anything negative back from the developers on this one yet, which one we're excited about. So I know we have a lot of people who like to compile the PDF into a big file and attach it to the expense report. Sometimes the file size is too big. And so it looks like they may be able to increase that attachment size. So that way, if you ever run into that issue, you don't have to try to split the document into multiple PDFs and everything like that. So hopefully with an increased size, it's not something that people will run into as often, at least. Not allowing 0 to be entered in the override function. So sometimes people accidentally put 0 in the override, and then it makes that line item become 0. It actually creates an error when you try to submit the expense report and everything like that. And generally, there's not really a business purpose for limiting it down to 0. And so instead of people getting to the error screen on the submit screen, we're going to just make it so you can't enter 0 in there. Next thing is website changes. So this is something we have communicated already, but I just wanted to be able to actually discuss it a little bit more. And so we will be making a significant push on these changes. I know this is kind of something we've talked about in the past, but it's been kind of tabled. And so we just want to let you know that we're really going to make an effort to push on this project. This project is going to include fixing and rewriting content. It's going to be a big thing. Just with that, it's just rewriting sentences that don't make perfect sense, grammar errors or spelling errors, all that kind of stuff. Just trying to make the content more concise and clear. Removing duplicate and incorrect information. So hopefully there's not too much of that, but we may come across something that's completely outdated or not relevant anymore, things like that. So obviously, if it's not current policy or if it's a duplicate, then we're going to be getting rid of that. And then the third thing is adjusting clunky URLs. So for the main part, or for most of it, we're going to be leaving the URLs alone as best we can. But where we've seen some issues is in the anchor. So when I'm talking about an anchor, I mean when we send a link to the website to a direct portion of the website. So let's say it's like the meals page, but I want to link you directly to the living allowance page. We've had some issues with those URLs not linking properly. And so it's actually something that we can fix. And so we'll be going in and making some adjustments to those. This project will not include policy or procedure changes. So we're not going in there to make any policy updates or changes. It's just updating and rewriting the content. So any sort of policy or procedure change is going to be handled as usual. We'll be communicating through the listserv as well as through these meetings. So it's not something that we're just going to do in the background. Yeah, we'll be communicating all of that separately. This will come with updates to the website, but that is separate from this project. So we communicate the policy, let you know what the effective date is, and then when it becomes effective, then we update it on the website. Another thing, issues you may run into. So I know I communicated this on the email. So with this project, may come some hiccups on your end. And the few things that came to mind, there may be other things that I'm not thinking of, but these were the main things that came to my mind. But the first one is page no longer exists. So because we're shifting content around or finding duplicate information, things like that, there's going to be a chance that we actually just delete the whole page together. So if that happens, just don't be worried. It just means the content got moved somewhere else. The URL has changed. So with adjusting the URLs, obviously it's going to change the actual website name, the URL at least. And so if the URL doesn't work anymore, again, that's going to be one thing you may run into. And then the third thing is going to be that the content moves. So you may still get to the page, the URL works, but you're finding that the content is no longer on that page. And that will mean that the content has been moved somewhere else. You may be wondering, okay, if I run into this issue, what do I do? Am I just never going to find it again? Our idea that we came up with for that is what we're going to do is keep one of our sites always updated with every published page that we have. The best way to think of it is like a table of contents. And so what I recommend especially while we're making a big push on the project, is to bookmark the link that I gave you here. And so this is in our home page, but it's kind of like our home page to the policies. And so we'll be keeping an active link on there with all the different topics and everything. And so if you run into any of those issues, what I would recommend is coming to that page first, kind of browsing the topics and then looking for it. if you don't find it after that, then of course you're welcome to reach out to us and we can help you point out where the policy is. We just ask that you let us know what the content is that you're looking for, and then we'll help you find it. Payment loop. So again, this is another reminder. We had also already sent this out. I just wanted to go over it in a little bit more detail, just to tell you about the kind of the features of it and why it's helpful. And so this is live as of 12/14/2018. So if you saw the email, this is regarding the payment loop. What's great about the payment loop is it provides payment data such as payment dates, paper or electronic direct deposit numbers in the summary section. So the problem before is this was not built into the expense report module. This is something that's also been released on several other modules. But the problem was this data related to the expense report was something you had to go search in other systems such as MyFD or Pass and things like that to get that. And so now it's actually built. The payment loop data is for an expense report that has already been fully processed because it's related to the payment. So if you have a report that's in composing or submitted status, you're not going to see any of the payment details, obviously, because the payment has not been processed yet. But when you get to see it is once the report's already been processed, it processes the details like a loop. And it's always updating it daily kind of thing. And so instead of going to those other systems, now you can just search the expense report, go to the summary section, and then all those details will be available to you. Another thing to note, I don't think I mentioned this when I had sent out the email, is it also backfilled reports about 500 days prior to the release. So if you do go check expense reports that were processed before 12/14/2018, they let us know that it went about 500 days past that as well. So if you go to find old stuff, there's a chance you'll also see the details there. But if you keep going past the 500 days, then the payment loop won't be affecting any of those ones. The next thing is going to be regarding our office's role with Christopherson Business Travel. So there's going to be some changes related to this. Currently, you may know that we do support the agency in an administrative role. So activating profiles as well as assisting with certain department setups, making changes to the profile in the system, things like that. And because of change in resources in our office, we will be actually shifting that administrative part of our work back over to CBT. And so something I've been asked previously, does that mean we're doing away with CBT, anything like that? The answer is no. So there's no changes regarding CBT being our travel agency. This is just our office's role and how we support the program.
What is CBT?
It's Christopherson Business Travel. So CBT is short for Christopherson Business Travel. And if you don't know Christopherson Business Travel, it's our travel agency that we support on campus. And so individual and department setup will now be coordinated with the CBT team. And then another thing to note is on our homepage, we have a site where you go to figure out how to register and everything like that. Just note that that page has now been updated and changed. There's a new one. And so because of our change in role, we've adjusted that to give you the proper procedure and everything like that. Um, 2019 customer service survey. So actually starting a couple days ago, this program just released a customer service survey that our office is involved in. And so it's actually organized by, this is actually a UW unit. It's the Transforming Administration Program, or TAP. So if you've heard TAP survey or customer service survey, those are both the same thing. And the purpose of it is to gather feedback for UW central administrative units. So this is not just a travel office survey, which we have done in the past. This one is related to all the different UW central units. And so it's highly encouraged that you go and provide feedback, and we will be included. So we encourage you to provide feedback. Another thing to note is it is all confidential and everything like that. So you don't have to share your name and everything like that. It can be completely anonymous. Another thing to note, all faculty, students, and staff from all campuses are welcome to participate. So it's not just staff or faculty. Everybody is welcome to participate on this one from all campuses. And then I actually provided you the link here. So if you look for our email when we send it out, it's going to have the link right there. So you just go to that link and then it brings you right to the survey to start filling it out. And you may be wondering, when is it open till? So it was January 28th. It just started. So this is a new thing. I know they did release an email to a lot of people, so you may have seen the email already. But just note, it doesn't go for a long time. So it goes till February 13th. So if you are interested in filling that out, make sure you do it before then. And then again, your feedback is greatly appreciated. Robert Lee's farewell. So you may have seen the email regarding this as well. So Robert Lee is no longer with the travel office, but he is close by. He is working on the finance transformation project. So definitely sad to see him go, but also glad to know, since he is a very smart individual, that he will be supporting us on that program. And he is, what I heard, is on the financial data model program. So pretty exciting stuff. We're hoping that maybe we can invite him as a guest speaker or something like that for one of our future meetings, if he has anything that he's allowed to share, at least for us. But his last day was the beginning of December, so keep that in mind. If you had any sort of pending projects with him or anything like that, I'm sure most of that stuff's probably been passed off. But if you do, just keep in mind that he is no longer with the travel office. So to direct it our way, we just gave you our contact information. Next thing is new email. So we had mentioned this before, but when we mentioned it previously, we said it was something that we were working on. So we had told you that we acquired a new email address and that we needed to work out some things on our end to actually, let you know that it is ready. But we are now officially announcing that this is our new email address for customer service. I have not had a chance to update the website, but I will right after this. So anywhere we have a contact us on the website, I'm going to be updating it now to travel@uw.edu. Where we actually got it from, pretty lucky, was the travel clinic at Hall Health. We found out they just no longer needed it anymore. And so luckily we got that one. We just think it's a little cleaner and easier. Travel@uw.edu, super easy to remember. And so travel@uw.edu will remain active. Just for the time being, but just note that we will be disabling it, and we don't have like an exact date when we'll be disabling it. We're just gonna kind of keep an eye on it, and then once we feel like no emails are coming there anymore, then we'll probably turn it off. But just note that temporarily, if you forget something like that, it's still gonna be routed to us, so we'll be seeing it for a while. But do note that we will be doing away with it, so make sure to start switching as soon as you can to the new one. It was the travel clinic at Hall Health, so we got lucky. We didn't have to wrestle them. But we just discovered that they just no longer needed it anymore, and then from there we just got to use it. So pretty awesome. And so today was actually kind of a short meeting for you guys, so that is actually the end. So thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, we'll definitely be sticking around for a little bit for a Q&A. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you for all of your wonderful work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it a lot.